Kris Krohn here with Limitless TV, and today we're talking about effective time management skills because you know what? There's a lot of people not getting what they want out of life because, frankly, when in school did they ever talk about how to manage time? Well, you get yours right now. If you had 10 books that you needed to read, how would you go about reading them? Think about it for a minute. I got 10 books. Are you going to read a chapter in each of the books and every day read just a few paragraphs or a few pages out of each of those books? For me, there's incredible power that comes from focus. And what this is where I intentionally do the opposite of ADHD. I think we all know that there's a lot of over-prescripting of ADHD and labeling in our society that basically says, squirrel, squirrel, squirrel. It's this idea that we can get so distracted because look at it. I got my cell phone. It's dishing up all of this information. Then I'm on YouTube. Then I got to watch this video my friend sent me. Then I'm at work. Then I'm driving in my car. Life is so different than it's ever been for most of the history of the entire human race. And I'm going to invite you to do the opposite, which is to put your blinders on, your focus blinders. And when I read a book, I read one book at a time and I feast on it and I learn everything that I possibly can and I want to dedicate all of my faculties to it. So in the end, which of the 10 books do I actually read first? And that comes down to prioritizing. You want to have effective time management. There's this lie, and it says that we can multitask, or men are bad at it, or women are good at it. You know what? Multitasking is a lie. There's no such thing as multitasking. There's no way that you're actually really putting 100% your focus in more than one thing at any given moment. So time management comes down to this idea of I got to prioritize what is the most important thing, and usually it's the thing that we don't want to do, or maybe it's the hard thing, or it's the thing that we perceive as more challenging and difficult. And yet that is the thing that will make all of the difference. So I got to prioritize, I got to put on my focus blinders and then allow myself to dive in to go as deep as I can on being completely present with the one thing that is most important that I'm doing in that moment. So when it comes to developing effective time management skills, I want to share with you what I consider a lower law and a higher law. And the lower law is to become an expert of time management. We would agree that an expert of time management is really good at prioritizing. Our day is filled with a list of things that we need to be doing. And if you're an entrepreneur, then you know that that list looks very different than if you're an employee. But whether you're being micromanaged by a company or have a lot of freedom in your company, or whether you're an entrepreneur and you're the boss, you're the director of the show, either way, there are things that need to get done. And you can tackle into this also social life and family life and personal things and fun things and travel things and work things. And you put all that together and the question is, how do I manage all that? Well, it starts by getting ultra simple with what do I need to do today? And by need, I need to separate out my wants. And there are things that need to happen, and then there are things that it would be nice if they did happen. So one priority is what needs to happen, and this is the part of the filter you need to be very careful of. A lot of times people will take the easy things to cross off the list, and guess what? They do those things. And if you have a capacity to do 20 or 10 or 5 things a day, and you're always tackling the easy things first, then what's the risk? The risk is that you'll never get to the hard things, the necessary things, because, hey, I want to push off the challenging things. That's what really leads to procrastination. Now, for me, I don't care whether it's hard or easy. I prioritize according to need because the sequence of timing in life bears far greater success and bears the fruits of success in our life than necessarily what we did. People are constantly mistaking movement for achievement. You know what I mean, right? You might even be watching this video because you're really good at being busy. You're really good at doing things, and yet you don't have the results that you want. Well, all that tells me is that you're saying yes to the wrong things and you're saying no to the right things. So we generally do that based on our personal preference of what we do like to do and what we don't, what's hard and what's easy. Let go of hard and easy and instead focus on what gets to be done. You might even choose to develop the pattern of, I'm always going to do things from the highest priority to the lowest priority, and if I'm going to cheat the system at all, it's to start my day by doing the hardest things first. Now, if you give me an individual that is able every day to be aware of what they need to do, properly categorize it, sequence it, so that it starts with the most important things, whether hard or easy, and go on down, and if you're capable of sticking to your list and not ending your day till it's done, I would call that the lower law of effective time management. but there's a higher law. And the higher law is this idea that there are things that you can do that will collapse time. I'm a huge fan of shortcuts. And we already made this point that busy people aren't always the most successful people. And instead, sometimes some of the busiest people have these stories of, I work so hard, I do so much. Yeah, and are you where you want to be? That's a hard pill to swallow. And if you got pride, the answer is going to be yes. And the reality is, man, we're trying to get someone who doesn't want to get there with balance. So this higher law has to do with balance, where you don't have to be busy. You don't have to be overburdened. You don't have to get caught up in the to-do list. And the higher law requires you, instead of going from a place of logic and determining what you're going to do, it's going to go inside to a place of intuition. For over a decade now, intuition has guided and led my business. Sometimes it's had me do the logical thing. Often it's had me pursue paths and go down roads and do things that didn't make sense. So I'm going to share with you the most powerful thing that I do every morning in time management. Really, my day, Kris Krohn's day, starts at 9. Because at 5 o'clock, I'm at the gym doing acro yoga. I'm reading some book. I'm praying. I'm learning. I'm helping get my kids ready for school, get them off to school, and doing some chores around the house. I've showered. I've done all that. 9 o'clock, my day starts. 9 o'clock, my day doesn't start until I have dedicated some time up here and in here to what needs to happen today. And so when I do my morning power hour and when I exercise and when I'm meditating or listening to good books, I stop the moment I receive inspiration on what needs to happen that day, because that's the mantra of my morning. It begins with, what do I get to do today? And then all of a sudden, my notepad comes out and I start taking notes on, who do I need to get an email to? And generally by 9 o'clock, I've got a list that isn't on my schedule. I look at my schedule of my appointments, and in effective time management for me, I never fully book out my schedule. I like to keep it half empty because I'm leaving room for intuition. And intuition strikes in the moment. It's a very present thing. And so before 9 a.m. Starts, I've got a list of 2, 3, 5, 8 things that need to happen that day that aren't on my schedule. And when I look back, guess what actually leads me down the road to the success, the happiness, the balanced life that I want? It was the things that were dictated by intuition. I started recording these series of videos this morning here at my house with Nate. He's so brilliant at what he does, but he came over at 8 a.m. Honestly, even though I scheduled that, that's a really outside the norm thing because I'm not even at 9 o'clock. And I've got some things right here that are itching that I'm super eager and excited to get to. They only came about from my power hour in acro yoga this morning. And I received some great downloads, some great information, and that's my priority. Intuition will always trump what's on the calendar. And another one of my rules is that I get to honor people when I have an appointment with them. And so those are the two biggest things that I do for my higher law of time management. Now, the reason why I call them a shortcut on time is because, and I talk about this principle of collapsing time. It's hacking time. How do I hack it? How do I skip? How do I jump past? Intuition, I believe we're all connected to a greater divine source, and we have all the information we could ever want readily available if we'll ask for it. And that's why the mantra of my morning is, what do I get to do today? That's a prayer to God. That's a prayer to my higher self. And what I'm accessing is far more ancient wisdom that's available. Napoleon Hill spoke of opening the windows, the doorways of the temples of wisdom that are available to us if we just ask. So those questions I ask in the morning, what do I get to do today, usually leads to a list. And my day's not done till that entire list is complete. In hindsight, doing those things were often what I attributed some of my greater success to. And so my invitation is, first of all, get your lower law house in order by learning how to effectively manage time by prioritizing. And if it's hard and you know that you're the type of person that bumps that on the lower priority list, don't do that. Bump it up to the higher priority list, because the things that are needful versus wants, those things need to happen today for you to get where you want to go. Higher law, step into the world of intuition. Start with a mantra for your morning. What do I get to do today? And become very good at listening. Last little bonus segment here. How do you really access intuition? For me, it's a series of steps. You might want to write them down because I'm going to give them to you real quick because our time is up. The first one is I ground. I calm my mind, banish the 60,000 daily thoughts, and get grounded. I breathe in deeply. Number 2 is I ask the question. The one I'm suggesting for you is, what do I get to do today? It's very mindful. Then the 3rd is to listen. It's just to wait and to be and to listen. And then the 4th is to receive. Get it. It's there, but you got to learn to trust it because it's not here. It's in here. And then number 5 is to trust. What you got, don't second guess it. Are you a doubter by nature? Stop that. Doubt is an unnecessary cancer to your life's results. Do it is number 6. Take action. And these 6 steps of intuition have been with me for years. And there's a book I'll never write. Of all the books I've written, the book I'll never write is really how did I create all the success in all of my businesses in my life and all the things I was able to do, is I trusted my intuition because I believe that it belongs to a greater source of information. I'm constantly getting downloads and information that it's not in my awareness of anything I believe I've ever learned. And I get to run with that information. And that is that higher law of time management. So I hope you've enjoyed this video. And friends, that's how you do it. Now here's the cool part, last tip. You can have your life changed right now by changing everything based on what you wrote down and what connected with you. Take your effective management skills, not just to that amazing level 1 level, but bring it up through the roof and see your life explode with new production, new results, and new happiness. And don't forget, tap into that intuition. Thanks for joining us on Limitless TV. Subscribe, and we got a lot more coming your way.